Yo, what's going on everyone? This is Opinionated Plays back again with another tier list video for Dragon Ball Legends. Today we're ranking the best characters in PvP currently, and specifically we're talking about, I guess, top 20k PvP, because anything after that, you can basically run whatever you want and make it look good. But realistically, when we talk about high rank PvP, we're looking at characters that, can actually compete with the best units, even if they're not as good. If you build them correctly with the right equipment and bench, they can still be productive. So as you can see here, we have a bunch of tiers because there's a bunch of characters. In total, I have 140 eligible characters to be ranked. I'm not going to rank every character in the game, but characters that could be used in top 20k PvP, right? So first we have the top 5 characters. That's what I go off. I always have a top 5 characters. I think that's the best way to do it because that's just the pinnacle of power. The next tier, obviously, anything below that, we could just say 5 through 15 or 5 through 12 maybe, something around that. This Revival Frieza, he's probably the best character in the good tier, or he could be at the back of the cup below the best to get a sense of where I'm ranking these characters. Bardock's indecent, mostly because his team, not because he's that great anymore. He could still be good as last man standing. Then here we have the free-to-play Super Saiyan Blue, Goku and Vegeta. They're barely there because you're not going to see them usually. Ran over. As far as Vegeta goes, Vegito Blue and Beerus are better than him, so that's 2 characters ahead of him. And then Mui Goku on God Key, and I'm sure there's another red character you'd also run over this guy. So the last tier is Trash Can. We all know Ice and Nova Shenron are garbage, so that's all you need to really know there. So that's a sense of the tiers. But I want to get into this. I don't want to spend too long on non-important characters, but the characters like here, Mui Goku, they're going to get at least a minute out of me. So Mui Goku, he's a top 5 character. Some people would say he's top 3, some people would say he's top 7 right now. Reds are very powerful right now. There's a lot of ways to bench buff them and give them good support, and MUI is really good on any red purple team, any God Key team, any leader slot you want to throw him in, and I think he's going to stay a top 5 character even heading into Legends Fest in the end of the year because his value, specifically on, Dobaki impacts, winning that automatically, his blue card reducing sub count, his special cover change, he nullifies special cover change. There's a lot to like about him, and obviously his auto dodge is still very powerful, and you can play really passively with him, which is something I don't recommend. I think being aggressive with MUI is really good. So regardless of how you use him, he's a top 5 character in most people's eyes. Next we have LFCell. He'll start here at a cup below the rest. Realistically, LFCell did gain some value with hybrids being introduced back into the meta a little bit with the LF Trunks release. But outside of that, he's just been a really good character ever since he got his plat equip, and that's really where he lies, is, just below the top units in the game. But when he does fill a gauge, he is a top 5 character in most circumstances. Here we have free-to-play 18. She can go along with these guys. Nobody really uses her anymore. Zenkai Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, I think he's actually decent. If you run him on mono purple, I've seen people do that. I've done it myself. He's capable of doing some good things, being able to lock in basically and then ulting. That's his only real value, but he's a decent character. Next here we have Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. I'm not going to put him barely there because he is still used even if he's not that great. I would just stick him like right here. Basically because his defenses have fallen off significantly once you pop those 2 cover changes, and then basically as you have as an ult and you ultimate and then you sack him off with a rush. So he's not that valuable anymore, at least in high rank PvP. You're going to see a lot of people use him because they love Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, as do I, but he's just not that great anymore. Next here we have Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta from the 2nd anniversary. He's still around, so I'll throw him here. You see him every once in a while on mono purple. Again, he could be used there if you don't have anything better to use on mono purple. If you really want to run that team, you will see him every 50 matches, I assume. Green Zenkai 7 Piccolo, he's decent, but the problem is Regen isn't that good right now. I'd have him like right here, better than Super Saiyan Blue Zenkai Vegeta. He does have some decent offense compared to before Zenkai. He was just basically a tank, but he can actually do some good blue card damage. But with Regen being down so bad, you're not going to see him that often. Next year we have LF Final Form Frieza. I would say he's currently decent right now. The problem with him is his damage is really lackluster without support. If you don't run him with a support or two, he's not going to do really good damage till he, goes down below, I believe, 60% health, something like that, to get his damage inflicted up. He still has a good Restore Vanish on main and good damage versus Saiyans, but he doesn't hold up as well as he did. He's kind of similar to Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta in that sense. They just don't have the offense that they used to have. So moving on, we have Chilled. I would say he's also a decent character. I've seen people running him alongside LF First Form Frieza because they'll give him blue cards to paralyze everyone, and that's basically his true value, especially when he runs into Super Saiyan teams. So, he's right there with Bardock. He's a situational good unit. Okay, here is a controversial one. I've seen people say this guy is not good. I've seen people say he's amazing. I do not own this character, but from what I've seen of him, I would say currently he's right outside the top 5 for most players. Now, anyone who has this character 9 stars or above, 10 stars or above, basically 3 copies, they're probably going to be like, oh, this guy is a top 5 character. If you have this guy at 5 stars or 8 stars, in my opinion, he's not really a threat when I run into him. You just play around it. You basically, when your Vanish is going to get taken away. You know what character to throw in front of his ult in case of feint. Like, you can play around all his stuff because he's really just, it's situational. If you're last man standing and lose your Vanish and it's one-on-one, yes, he's going to be very tough to deal with. But early game, he's not really a problem unless high stars, and that's where I would have him, is right outside the top 5. He's probably going to end up at 6 or 7 for me because I don't want to be biased because he's a new character, and if you have him high stars, he looks really dominant. I would just say he's right outside the top 5 if we're being honest. Next year we have a rarely used unit. I will just stick him back here. Nobody really uses him for support on Vegeta Family or Future. Cool animations though on the character, but never really used. LF Vegito Blue. I would put him at top of barely there. He's still got a little bit of value with his Nullify special cover change, but that's really it with him. I could still see you running him on a team with Vados or Whis or something like that, where you get support and then they also nullify, especially Whis. You could just do a full nullify special cover team, but other than that, he's rarely used. Kaoken Goku, 20 times Kaoken Goku. He came out, was pretty fodder. And I would say he's also barely there. I don't ever see this character. I saw him for 1 or 2 weeks when he dropped, and that's about it. Zenkai Android 13. This is just another character. I would say he's barely around. But you do see him on bench, just never brought into battle. The Elf Androids, their top 5 character. I would just have them probably placed like right there. They're still a devastating unit to run into, especially if you see a 9-star plus androids. You can Zenkai buff them in different ways. They have lots of good support options to be ran alongside them to increase their value. They're a really tough team to deal with. Specifically, if I ran into a Whis, LF Androids, and LF Mui Goku team, I am concerned for my well-being. So, they're still a top 5 character. I would say, they're going to continue to be at least a top 10 character for a good amount of time. There's really no counterplay to what they do. Zenkai Rose, great bench for the androids. He has some value. If you don't have Mui Goku on your Yagi team, you can run him. If you don't have the androids, you can run him on, powerful opponent. And then also Future, he's a good sub option. I would probably have him somewhere like right here. Just a great bench, really, but if you don't have anybody else, you can run him. He's not bad. This Blue Vegeta, he's barely there, but I would say he's actually not that bad right now, considering he's not Super Saiyan. The whole fight, obviously Super Saiyans are not that great right now, but as far as him going blue, once he's transformed, Cooler can't get that nullify type advantage on his opponent, basically. So he will be type advantage versus Cooler once he transforms. So that's a plus for him. But, he's going to destroy all your cards, reduce your key to 0 if you do use him. So it's not the biggest problem using him. If you run into a Cooler, it's not the worst counter, but I'd still suggest other options. Next we have Ultra Vegito. For now, I'm just going to stick him I guess right here, I'm going to move these characters around once we start adding some more up there, but for right now, I'd have them slightly above Ultra Broly, and it's specifically because the overreaction to all the red characters in the game that are very strong. You know, this guy can still go neutral on when an ally dies, he can go neutral on green. And remember, if the androids are playing against him and they switch into 18, he's going to be advantage and not going to have a problem with her. So realistically, this guy's only big issue is when he faces Cooler. And the thing about that is, you might just want to say, hey, if I'm running Ultra Vegito in the leader slot, you're not forced to bring him into a match versus Cooler. Let's say they have a high star, 9-star Cooler. You don't have to bring him. There's other options probably on your team. But for every other matchup, if you're facing a low star Cooler or no Cooler at all, this guy is still going to probably be the best character on your roster, or the second best at least. So, you know, I would still have him highly ranked. Everybody's still going to have him as a top 10 character. He's just that good. If you have 2 or 3 copies of him, he's still extremely good with the card draw. Restoring Vanish on main. His stats are through the roof. He's right there with LF Broly. You could probably switch him in and out. The only reason Broly is there with him is because yellow is not a good color and purple is. So that's where I would rank those two, right next to each other. Next here we have Zenkai Android 21. Great bench for LF Cell, but realistically she's not seeing much play. Zenkai Super Saiyan Blue Goku, you rarely see him anymore. I would just stick him like right here. Legends Limited 8 Vegeta, he needs a plat equip. They did give a Saiyan Saga plat not too long ago, but I would just stick him like right here. You're not going to see him that often. Zenkai Yellow Goku, this guy was really, really crucial for certain movie setup and certain Sun Family setups before Tapion came out. But once he came out, this guy is never used. I never run into him. I would just stick him like right here because he's still decent, but you're never going to run into him. This Goku, again, bad color right now, but again, you know, he was good on release, but once Legends Festival dropped, not many people use this character, and I would say there's not really much hope for him going forward because, you know, he's just an all-star character, he doesn't have the greatest stats, doesn't do that much damage, so I'd leave him like right around here. Tag Goku Vegeta, I would have him in good right before, behind Revival Frieza. Revival Frieza is still very valuable. He just doesn't have the defenses. But obviously the Goku and Vegeta has great healing still, good combo potential with their Arts card draw speed, and then obviously their blue cards are very powerful. The only problem is if you don't have these characters high stars, much like Revival Frieza, they will be 2 to 3 carded. And obviously Revival should be ahead of them because he actually supports and has the Revival mechanic, while these guys, there's no hope for them if they get comboed. The only thing they can do is heal it off if you survive, which you most likely won't, versus a character with an ult or anything like that. So that's the deal with them. Beerus, I would have around right here, because specifically in this meta, I would only have him in decent or way behind Super Saiyan Blue, Goku, and Vegeta. In other metas, but right now you're going to see a lot of people use this guy specifically to take out the Revival Gohans of the world, the Revival Friezas, anything like that. He's still really good for taking care of that. So moving on, this Piccolo, he's pretty fodder now. I would just have him all the way back here. LF Trunks lost a lot of value because he's a Super Saiyan, and a lot of Nullify endurance characters that came out over the past 6 months. So, you know, he's not as good as he once was, but I'd still have him around maybe right here. Vados, she still has some value if you have her 14 starred and you run her with, you know, a character that wants to have good health restore and, you know, wants a good support. She will die in 2 to 3 cards, though, so just be wary of that. DKP, I love this character, but, you know, he's not really runnable that much anymore. I would say he was pretty good on release, but not everyone summoned for him. So, you know, if you have this guy high stars, he's still usable, but not really advisable. LF Jiren, he is much improved with his plat equip. It doesn't throw him in a top 10 character role, but you could say he's possibly a top 20 character if you have him higher stars. Tapion here, I would stick him right next to LF Frieza probably. I still like LF Frieza. Or not LF Frieza, my mistake. Revival Frieza for his revival. Tapion has a similar situation though, where on movies he's probably your best yellow option. In movies is a very powerful team right now. But in this circumstance, Revival Frieza probably edges him out just because of the Revival. But Tapion's still really good if you run him with Dragon Fist or any other movie's character that wants to combo for long periods of time, especially characters that can nullify special cover change, so he still has great value. Zenkai Android 18, you don't see her much anymore, but you know, if you want to run a girls team, she's probably one of your better options. Zenkai Super Vegito, he's still pretty decent. I would just say, yeah, he deserves to be indecent, along with, I guess, LF Frieza and Trunks. You know, he is a Super Saiyan, they lose value right now, but still, he's still good, you know, in my opinion. I think he can still work on your Fusion roster in Mono Purple as well. Free-to-play Rose, you're not going to see this guy. He was heavily used for a good amount of time after his release, but then after the last, or his first few months out, he did not really see much, so I just stick him like right there. These two right here, Zamasu and Goku Black, I would still say they are good characters. If you have them 14-star like I do, you can still throw them on most teams as your tank, and they have great unique abilities to take advantage of. They have not aged out like, you know, other characters from last year. They are still one of the best characters from last year, so I would still have them back here in good. You can run them on most teams. Ultra Goku, you don't see this character. He deserves to be right there at the bottom of Barely There, or the top of Barely There. You just don't see him, and it's a shame because he could probably use a Zenkai maybe early next year. That would be a good idea. I'm not saying get into the mode of Zenkai Ultra characters, but he might be a good candidate to start off with. The new Super 17, I would have him right around here. I would say he's actually really good right now for a yellow. If he wasn't yellow, he'd be probably right around where Jiren and Tapion is. I really like him. I think he's the best event-exclusive character in the game. You know, but overall, he has a really good green card, a really good nullify special cover change. I like him as your yellow option on Fusion Warriors. If you don't own Ultra Vegito, I think he's your best yellow on there. Next year, we have Angel Go and Frieza. I really think highly of this character, but at the same time, I don't think he's, you know, where he was, which was like a top 10 to 15 character. He's probably more like around here or here, I'd say. You know, Rival Frieza still holds value over him, even as much damage as he could put out. That's the deal with him. I think he's dropped a good amount after boosts. You know, with his boosts, he's doing way more damage, so I don't see him as often. Legends Limited Gohan, with his new equip, I would say, is actually pretty good. I would just say, to be safe, I would throw him like right here, because he's still a yellow character, he's still a Super Saiyan. I don't want to overrate him. But the equip does give a lot of percentage for damage and defense, and obviously extra support and health restore for his allies. Makes him a pretty valuable character, but if you don't have him into the red stars, I would advise not running this guy, or at least you can throw him on your team, but don't bring him into battle if they have LF Cooler. That's what I would suggest. You could still have him as your 4th or 5th option on your team, but don't bring him into battle with LF Cooler unless you're very confident in his defenses and his star level. Super Saiyan 3 Goku from GT. This guy is pretty fodder now. I would just throw him right around here. Never really see him unless, you know, maybe GT comes back. People want to throw him on their GT team, but I don't see him ever making a return unless you got a Zenkai in the future. Zenkai Android 21, still a decent support. I would just have her right around here, or maybe back here, yeah, something like that. You know, she's still usable, but her defenses aren't there even with her Zenkai stats. She doesn't have the reduced damage receive, you know, like some other newer characters, but she could still do some good things with the other 21, as far as, you know, if you want to run a girls team or a girls Android team maybe, but I don't see it that often, so, you know, that's where I stand with her. Legends Limited Piccolo, he could probably go right around where Evo Vegeta is. That's where I would have him valued at, something like that. It's just regen isn't good, and obviously when this guy was Zenkai, not a lot of people had him at a high enough star level to actually utilize him. So now as people get him to a high enough star level where they can put Z power into him, you might see him make a return if regen gets buffs in the next few months. The Whis that came out on that All-Star banner with Golden Frieza, whatever, it's a he. Whis is definitely a good character still, I would have it right around Angel Go and Frieza. I could put them on the same level as Super 17 here. I think Whis still is a great support for the best characters in the game, which is primarily the LF androids, and LF Mui Goku still holds really good value there. But you know, it can move up or down based on the teams that Whis can be run with. Giving a green card and nullifying special cover change early in the battle is a game changer for Whis. If Whis didn't have that, it wouldn't be used. So, moving on, we have Green Zenkai Boo. This is a tough character to rate because this character is almost timeless as far as at least bench purposes. Still a great bench for regen. I would just say this Boo is barely there. I never see this Boo, but still can be used if you want someone that can heal your team. But definitely put him on your bench for your regen setup if that's what you're using. Moving on, we have LF Kidbu. I would say this LF Kidbu, even with his plat, still doesn't tank that well, but I would have him probably at the top of decent, because he really is truly a decent character with that plat equipped. The only problem is he still can't take a hit. No matter what percentages they give him, he still can't survive a combo from most top characters, and that's really where he fails. Is he can heal, he can restore vanish, but at the end of the day, he just can't take a hit, and that's always been his problem. And a lot of the times you're not going to survive a combo with a character like this. So as good as he is at damage dealing, he's not going to be able to sustain, and that's why I would not have him in the good tier. This Goku was used when he released, not much anymore. I would throw him with the other event exclusive characters that aren't used anymore. Zenkai Yellow Frieza, Full Power Frieza. I do like this character, but not used at all anymore. I would still run LF Final Form over this guy, but he is a great bench for your LOE team. And you know, if you don't have the LF Final Form Frieza, you could definitely use this guy. It's not like he's unusable. I would just probably put him right around this blue Vegeta, because he is barely used, but he is seen on the bench. Okay, here we go. The best character in the game. As you can see, there's 3 red characters at the top right now, and I would say this LF Final Form Cooler is right now the most heavily used character and the best character. So when you put those things together, you're going to see him in almost every match. He takes over games. He can 1v3. You could feel like you're winning the battle by killing his allies, and then he just draws unlimited cards, nullifies your cover change, and ults you for your entire health bar. It's very dangerous to deal with this character. If you don't have a good blue non-Super Saiyan that you're running, if you do not bring a blue character to deal with this guy, he will destroy any type neutral character. He will destroy characters that are even blue, and you're just going to be in trouble. So that's what I would say about this LF Cooler. Everyone's going to have him ranked #1, and for good reason. He is a problem. You know, obviously the Broly came out after him. Broly is not as good as Cooler. And you can have a 3-star to 6-star Cooler, and that Cooler would look as good as a high-star Broly, just in my personal opinion. Cooler's main thing is damage, and even at 3 to 6 stars, he can deal the damage. Broly at 5 stars is not a great tank, and that's the main issue. Is, you know, when we compare these 2 new characters right alongside each other, they're both trying to do different things. One's trying to be an offensive monster, the other's trying to destroy people's combos, take away their vanish, but one could do it better at lower stars. So that's why there's a big difference in the 2 characters. But that's just my personal opinion. You know, other people see it differently. I think that's a fair assessment of those 2 characters when you compare them side by side. Moving on here, I want to move a little quickly now because we got some of the heavy hitters out of the way. Zenkai Gohan that came out. He's actually a nice character. I would actually have him as one of the better regular Sparking Zenkais. I'd probably put him somewhere like right here. You know, even ahead of some of the Legends Limited characters right here, because he does do really good damage and can go type neutral. The only thing holding him back is being a Super Saiyan, which you cannot bring Super Saiyans that reliably into battle because of coolant. This Goku I'm not a fan of. I know some people like him. I do not like him at all. I would stick him right behind this Piccolo, as he's decent. At best, he's decent. He really doesn't impress me much, so... Other than that, we have Dragon Fist Goku, still a highly used character. Still, a lot of people like this character, and as do I. I think he's still great, you know, early game and late game. The only problem is he can't take a hit, and that's the only problem with him. But other than that, I would still have him ranked probably It could go, you know, Cell and him are pretty close. I would just stick him right here because of movies, while Cell is more reliant on future, more reliant on powerful opponent and androids. This guy can be thrown on, you know, movies team and be your best green immediately. So that's where I would rank him for now. Still a great, fun character to use. Event exclusive Frieza, you know, he's a good green option for your LOE team if you don't have Angel going Frieza, but you're not going to see this guy, really, but I'd put him ahead of this Blue Vegeta. Moving on from that, we have 3rd Anniversary Trunks, Super Saiyan, never used. I'd just stick him probably like right here. Just move this down. It's going to start getting pretty crowded here. Ultra Gogeta, he is a top 5 character still, even being a Super Saiyan. I would definitely put him probably right here. I would put him ahead of Mui Goku if it was not for, you know, him being a Super Saiyan. That does slightly neuter him, but it doesn't make him a character that you're not going to run regardless. So when I see Ultra Gogeta, you know, the only time I'm not afraid of him is if I'm using LF Cooler. If I'm not using LF Cooler and I see a high star Ultra Gogeta, he will take your game, you know, your game plan and throw it out the window. He will nuke you with blue cards constantly. He has 2 ultimates, and, you know, he can nullify special cover change, and he's still a problem to this day, almost, I guess, 9 to 10 months old now. So with that being said, you know, that's I would have him ranked at 4. Obviously, I don't remember necessarily who my 5th character would be in this tier. It could be, you know, I could move one of the characters up from a cup below, but we'll see. I feel like I'm forgetting someone. Maybe I'm not. I'll have to check once I'm done going through all the characters. Moving on from that, though, we have Kakarot Goku. A really good bench for your MUI Goku if you're running him on a specific setup. Let's say the 4th Anniversary team with Vegito, Super Saiyan 3 Dragon Fist, and MUI. This is your guy if you're going to build that team. But other than that, he's rarely there, and I'm not going to say he's trash because, you know, he's not. It's just, for his bench purposes, he's not trash can, right? So it's funny we only have 2 trash can characters down here. All these guys actually have a little bit of value compared to them. Ultra Vegeta, I would say he's barely there. He's still an Ultra. You're going to see him. I put him right ahead of Ultra Super Saiyan Goku in the sense where he does have good card draw speed with his green card. He does have some good blast damage, and his blue card's pretty decent, but he just can't take a hit, much like the red Ultra Goku. 4th Anniversary Krillin, barely there, especially, you know, Super Warriors really never gets that many good summonable characters, so I would just have him right around there. Zenkai Tag Broly Chilai, rarely, I never see this character. I only recently got this character up to 7, and then I got their Zenkai power put into them. It's just not really, they were never good, and I don't see them ever making any noise in the meta. Here we have LF Bardock, though, which is an interesting character because he actually got a pretty big buff with his Plat equip, much like future Gohan, but I'm still not ready to say this Bardock deserves to be any higher than probably like right here, and the main reason for that is, number 1, he doesn't have a good team, he doesn't have a great support. Obviously, you can run him on Saiyans, but he doesn't actually fit that well, unless you're building him, you know, in a specific manner where he's gonna be all damage and you have a tank or support that can take hits for him. He's still a really good last man standing, as he was even before his Plat, but, you know, he's such a slow builder as far as being on the battlefield. If you have to be on the battlefield with this guy for over 20 counts to get all his passives unlocked, what's going to happen when you have to stay on the battlefield and LF Cooler comes in and hits him with a strike card, right? So he can't be too high, but the Plat does give him a necessary bump. But that's where I would put him. I would have future Gohan over him because his teams are better. And even with Bardock not being a Super Saiyan, he just doesn't fit that good on any of his teams. You know, so that's where I stand on him. I still like the character, though. Yellow event exclusive Trunks. Do not run this character right now. You will regret it. I would say this guy was actually a good character to decent character for a while there. I would just, I mean, you could put him at the top of barely there, because I do not see this character now. I do not see him in the meta at all because of Cooler. That is really why you cannot use him. He's probably suffered one of the largest drop-offs of any character. I mean, I know you want to sack him off, but he'll screw over the rest of your team being a Super Saiyan anyway, so I would not use him Obviously use Future Gohan over him with his new plot equip. That's what I would say. He's going to be barely there for the next however long. Zenkai Final Form Cooler, pretty mid, but, I would still say he's a good bench for LOE, but you're not going to see him over Revival Frieza ever. I think if you have Revival Frieza even at 2 to 3 stars, you bring him. So I put him right there as a good bench option for LOE. Zenkai Super Saiyan 3 Goku, pretty solid bench for Saiyans, but other than that, again, it's another LF character who does not do enough damage at this point. I would just stick him right there. Revival Goku, another character I would not bring into battle right now. Can't do any damage, never did any damage, so he could be right around, let's just say here. This is, Gamma 1, I believe. So Gamma 1 is a character, along with Gamma 2, who never really used because no one really summoned for them, right? So in that scenario, they're still decent characters, but I would say at best you're going to see them once every 40 to 50 matches, if that. And I would put them barely there, but they're actually good characters if you use them. Or if you have them decent star low, they are decent. But again, you're never going to see them because no one summoned on that banner. Next year we have Revival Gohan. He was going to be higher, I would say, before Broly came out. You could put him right at the back of a couple of the best before Broly came out. Now I would just have him in good. And I would have him right around where LF Jiren is, specifically because, obviously his main team movies, which was for the last 6 months, people were using him for their purple spot on movies. Now he's really only the best option for the hybrids team. But again, him being number one, he's a Super Saiyan before he revives, right? So again, if you're starting the match and the other team has LF Cooler, that is a problem early game. Obviously, he revives, goes Super Saiyan 2. So once that occurs, he's still really good. He is great for support in his green cards. Being able to take a rush or come back into the battle quicker to take a rush via his green card is still really useful. But again, he lost value. Ultra Broly is way better than him. And I would say, in that circumstance, you're going to always bring Broly over him. But Revival Gohan is still really good for your hybrids team if that's what you're going to run. I'm losing my voice a little bit here with all these characters. Zenkai's GT Goku, pretty solid bench, I guess. I mean, that's all he's going to do is be a Zenkai bench. I guess you could just stick him right here with the other GT Goku. This Goku is actually decent, but again, he's not your best option for movies. You'd still run Ultra Gogeta over him, but considering is a movies character, you could still stick him maybe right around here with Rose as far as usability. But again, he's an okay bench for movies. His Z ability is not great, but his Zenkai buff is okay. LF Rose needs a plat. You're barely going to see this guy. Again, he's, the problem with Rose is he was never great on release. He should have got a plat by now. I don't know what they're waiting for. I would say he could be an option for a Zenkai next year. Once they got to get this, the UI Goku, the LF UI Goku from 2 years ago, probably could use a Zenkai before this guy, and then maybe Yellow Gogeta as well. But with that being said, I would still say, Rose needs help, and I don't know when he's going to get it. I would just stick him probably right here, and I would actually have Gogeta ahead of the Super Saiyan 3 as more usability. I would just stick these two right here as guys that need Zenkais pretty badly. So, moving on from that, Blue Napa, not a popular character, but a pretty decent character. I would still have him right around here. If you own him, you know what he can do. He's pretty decent, so that's the situation with him. Tien, pretty solid free-to-play option, but again, nobody uses Super Warriors. I put him right with Krillin. LF Goten, pretty crap when he came out. He was overrated on release, and now everybody knows he's not going to do anything. He's right there probably with Zenkai LF Gohan as far as how much people actually use him, and he can't take a hit. That's really his issue. Broly from Legends Fest last year, nothing special, and when he came out, people were hyping him up to be really good, and as soon as they used him, they realized he wasn't any good. But with that being said, I would just stick him right around here. That's probably where he should be. LFUI Goku, probably the best candidate for Zenkai at this point. I would stick him really low, honestly. probably like right here. I mean, that's how badly he needs a Zenkai. I mean, he cannot take 1 to 2 cards. He will die. So unless you're dodging the attacks, if you have him high stars, he's okay damage-wise, but other than that, he needs a Zenkai. He should be Zenkai'd for Legends Fest. That'd be a really good option for the devs to do, in my personal opinion. 3rd anniversary Vegito. I'm just gonna put this guy right at the back of barely there. You might see this guy once every 100 matches. I don't want to call him a trash can. He is okay on mono purple. Every purple character can be ran on mono purple, especially a God Key purple. But other than that, he's right there with Ui Goku, I would say. You know, that's where they deserve to be, in my personal opinion. And moving on from that, we have Maja Boo, Kidbu, the support, green one. He's an event-exclusive character. You can grind him up. I think they had his event back a few weeks ago. It might actually be still there. Yeah, it might still be there. So if you want this character, you can get him. He's an okay support. I would still put him probably with Vados as far as usability. Really doesn't do much damage, but again, you know, that's where I would have him. Kakarot Goku has actually gained some value with Cooler being a heavy strike character. This is a character that can end combos involving strike arts on switching. So I'd actually have this Ultra Kakarot Goku moved up a little bit. I'd actually have him maybe around, I don't know, here. I still think, you know, he probably dropped off the quickest of any Ultra, but a lot of that has to do with his teams. Universal Survival Saga is a joke, and I would say God Key really doesn't need a yellow to be effective. I mean, it's really optional whether you want to use him. He's still got really good abilities with his green card. He can nullify special cover change. You know, so situations like that, he's a good last man standing. He has multiple Vanish restorations on that. So, you know, he is a gauge character. He does have value, but again, he's not going to, you know, be in the top 2 tiers at this time. You know, for many various reasons. Obvious team and cooler. I would say the heavy red meta hurts him. Zenkai Zamasu, barely there. Good bench though, so if you want to use him for bench, he's there. Zenkai Broly. This guy was a disappointment. I was so hyped when they Zenkai'd him last year. I was like, this guy's going to be a top 10 character. It didn't happen. He's still a really good Zenkai bench for movies, maybe. That's where I would have him. Probably like right here, same level of Boo as far as Zenkai benching for their teams. Zamasu, I mean, he's not used much. I would say he probably deserves to be somewhere. He probably needs a plat equip, that's what I would say. He needs a plat equip just as badly as Piccolo and Vegeta. I would just have him probably right around here. Gogeta's teams, I mean, it's very difficult to say who's better currently out of the 3rd anniversary LFs. I mean, I guess I could stick these guys maybe right around here. I'll move these elves up a little bit, actually. They do have a little more value than, let's say, Android 21. Probably stick her down here. And then, I don't know, who's better, Piccolo or Vegeta? Probably Piccolo. It's just his teams are struggling. Yeah, I would say something like that. So, moving on from that, those characters don't matter as much, so I'm not going to worry about them too much. Green LF Vegeta. This guy's actually gained a lot of value based on you're not going to use, you know, Super Saiyan green units for your Vegeta family team if you have this guy high stars. Obviously, the LF Trunks that came out, you can utilize him, but it's actually debatable whether to say this guy is better or not. I would stick him right here currently. I think he still has really good value. The only thing with him is when he first initially came out, he was able to tank a rush pretty effectively from even type neutral and cover cut. I have not seen this guy tank a rush in the last few months. Ever since 4th anniversary, he's lost value on his defense event. He cannot tank anymore, most characters, so that's why he's not in a couple of the best. He was a couple of the best, I'd say, 4 months ago. So that's my perspective on him. Moving on from that, we have Red Buhon that came out with Tien on that All-Star banner. I would say he's at the back of decent, probably around here with Gamma 1. You know, he's solid. He can nullify type advantage. I believe he's neutral for the first 2 times he comes in. Other than that, I don't own the character, and he does not invoke fear into me, so that's the situation with him. Maja Vegeta, people are overrating this guy a little bit. I think they were saying, you know, he's a top 10 character. He might be in some circumstances, but again, remember, he wants to do extra damage versus Goku, and as far as red Gokus go, which this guy is advantage to, it's MUI. If you're not fighting MUI, I would honestly hesitate to feel like I want to bring this character into the battle, because again, that's where his passives really do a lot of damage. You're only going to do decent damage at the point of not facing a Goku. I would say he could be at the top of good for now. I would still have Cell and Dragon Fist over him in this meta. I think, being a blue non-Super Saiyan is really good. But again, this guy is not going to do overwhelming damage unless he's at high stars, unless he's fighting MUI Goku, if we're being honest. Purple hit, fodder, he could go right here. I think I'll move this guy into Trash Can with Ice Shenron, and I could probably move, I don't know. Let's throw you in there too at this point, so we'll just add some Trash Can units. Transforming Rose still has a little bit of value in your I guess future team if you don't have a good green option, if you have him high stars. He's still actually solid, even at his age. I would have him like right there. LF Vegito Blue, honestly, it's a shame that he basically feels like a watered down version of what he was on release. Like everything that you felt on release when using him is not apparent anymore. I would say he could be in the good tier, but truly when I use him and I have him past 9 stars, equipped up, he does not do the necessary things that you would need, which is number 1, nullify special cover change with a character like this, and then number 2, the damage he's doing is not great until you use his ultimate. His ultimate hits very hard, but on normal attacks he is not a damage dealer, per se. I would say he does not have burst damage like other characters, so I would stick him probably, I don't know, right around here. I think he's still got value, but I am not someone who highly values him like some people would. I just don't see it even at high stars with him. Off boost now, he does not do the damage necessary, but he can still tank relatively well, but I would have Maja Vegeta highly over him in most circumstances. Super Saiyan Gogeta, good bench, and that's about it. That's where it ends. The new Goku Black that came out on that All-Star banner is actually solid. I would say this Goku Black, where'd he go? Oh, he's right here. Okay, so this Goku Black, when comparing him to Mecha Frieza, he is not as good as Mecha Frieza, but I would actually have him right here as a good character. He's a good support. It's just that a lot of characters, as far as support goes for the future team that he wants to be ran on, there's other options there. Like we see Blue LF Trunks is right here. They're pretty close. You can make an argument that LF Trunks is better than him, but at the same time, LF Trunks is also a Super Saiyan, so it degrades his value. And I like the blue card that the, Goku Black holds. So in that situation, if you want a pure support for your future setup or your powerful opponent setup, he is the guy. LF Trunks does not hold that, throne anymore like he once did. Zenkai LF First Form Frieza, still a powerful character. I think highly of this character even to this day because of the LOE team still being a threat. And you could also run him on your powerful opponent leader slot if you wanted to. I think that would work out fine. He's good for any team for support, and in that situation I would still have this character as regarded as a very good character. I'd still put him probably like right here. Just as far as seeing him in matches, if I face LOE, and a lot of those LOE teams in the top 20k, people main them and they have him high starred. They have this LF First Form at very high star levels. He is a problem as far as his green and blues and holding the blue card for the other characters. He does really make that team go. When you bring him into a match with, let's say, you bring LF Cooler or Revival Frieza, they are problems. You could bring Angel Golden Frieza in there too. I would say, he's got great value still, even at his older age of the Zenkai. Super Saiyan Gogeta, the event exclusive one, pretty mediocre. I thought he was good, but realistically, he's at best decent, probably all the way back here. He is pretty fodder. Actually, I would not put him that high. My fault. I would put him behind these two. I would say he's probably somewhere like right here. He just doesn't hold up to the rest of the characters in the meta. Yellow Broly from the Second Coming was never good on release, but he is a good health punch for your powerful opponent setup. In that circumstance, I would say he's barely there. You can bring him if you really need yellow versus Sun family, but other than that, I would stick him right around here. LF Super Saiyan 4 Goku, I don't know, I would say with Plat, his Plat equip that he got, he can hold up on certain teams like Sun family. I would still say at high stars, he's pretty decent with his Plat equip. I could honestly see him being like right here. I mean, you could honestly move him maybe a little higher. I mean, maybe right here. He is good at high stars with his Plat equip, I'll say that. You know, it has to be on a certain team, because if you know his Plat equip, you either have to re-roll the third slot for GT or Sun family, so he is slotted into whatever team you roll for that. But at the same time, you know, he does do good damage, he just can't take a hit. His also his cover save is pretty good. Yellow Cell came out a few months ago now. He's okay. I would still say he doesn't do enough damage to be that relevant. I would have him maybe right here with Zenkai Piccolo. Yellow Android 17 still a decent character. I don't even care, you know, if he's not a popular character. If you have him at high stars, he is still a threat. He actually has really good uniques. I would have him probably right here next to Napa and Buhon. LF Namek Goku, I would say he's still a decent character. He's not aged as bad as some of the other guys. I would say, you know, it's tough with him. I would say Namek Goku's teams are not what they once were. Early last year, you would run LF Super Saiyan 3 and Angel Vegeta with this guy, and it would be really potent. Now he doesn't have that team around him, and I would say he's still a really good last man standing, but he could probably go somewhere like right here. That's about as high as you can rank someone like this, because they just need the team around him. And obviously, as a last man standing, he's probably not going to be the best character you bring, so you'd probably sack him out before he gets to that point. Speaking of Angel Vegeta, I would say right here, Angel Vegeta can go right around Namek Goku, because that's the team that people were running with him. He's still okay on Vegeta family if you need a support, but other than that, I would not bring him into a match unless I really needed to. Ultra Omega Shenron's actually a decent character that does not have the team, which is GT. With that being said, I would stick him probably on the same level as these LFs. That's his power level to me, if his team was good, which these guys, honestly, if they might have just as good as... If GT was as good as Fusions or God Key, this guy would be higher, probably be top of decent. But right now, his teams are struggling mightily, and that's where I would rank him. LF Beerus, he's a trash can, perfect character to throw right there. Saiyaman 1 and 2, actually I regard these characters higher than I did when they first Zenkai'd. I would say Saiyaman 1 or 2 are pretty meta actually, and I would actually have them ranked right around here. If you want to bring them, you can. If you want to just leave them on bench to buff cooler, that's also a good option. Green Topo, barely there, pretty fodder, I'd stick him right there. The only good thing about him is locking in for like 2 counts, sub count. You know, kind of similar to Elf Cooler, but he's nowhere near the character. Zenkai Super Saiyan 2 Gohan once held the best character in the game for over a year, but now I would just say he can go right there, wherever LF Goten is. Where is Elf Goten? Yeah, right around here. I'd stick him a little higher than Elf Goten, but other than that, you know, that's where he stands as far as... I don't know, I put him a little higher than that. Let's say you could stick him... I guess right here. We'll stick him at top of barely there, because he does have value, but he's not what he once was. And hybrids, blast-based hybrids ain't it, so that's why he's that low. This Maja Vegeta, I hate to be this hard on him, but I have not seen this character. If you play rank 35, you probably see him, but other than that, I can't remember seeing him once in the past month. He's really bad, unless he's the last man standing, then he's decent, but other than that, he's a trash can, not based on that he's worse than some of these characters. The fact that he's a basically 2 to 3 months old character, and he's this bad, so he could stick in trash can. Gamma 2, he can go right there with Gamma 1, I would say. We'll stick them together. They haven't had a meta for themselves. Maybe they'll come back if more superhero content comes out. LF Evo Vegeta, I mean, I love this character. I have him high stars, but again, he's not meta. You don't see him that often. He's right here with Gogeta and Rose as far as value to the meta goes, I would say. And in that circumstance, I would probably take Evo into battle because of how many stars I have on him, but if I was going to run, you know, these characters at equivalent stars, I'd probably say Gogeta has a little more value just because of the Nullify special cover change on entry. That's what I would say. The new TN is decent. I really like it. The implementation of the Nullify Rising Rush mechanic, hopefully they put it into a better character, because this character is not great tags or great individually. I would still say he's kind of around where Bardock would be, in my opinion, as far as value to a specific team you want to run. If you're trying to really avoid Rising Rushes, he can be your guy. Kale, pretty fodder. I would say she can go right around where, I don't know, this red Piccolo, perfect spot. Now, here we go. This Trunks is very controversial. I'm not a fan. I fight him a good amount, and I don't know why people are bringing him against, you know, I don't know. I don't want to say I don't know why they're bringing him, but his teams aren't great. He's a Super Saiyan. He can't nullify special cover change. What he does is all, I guess, damage, but you have to avoid cover changes and you have to avoid cooler. And that's the deal with this Trunks is he really is dependent on matchup. If you face a matchup that doesn't involve LF Cooler, this guy can look like a top 5 character. If you face LF Cooler, or you face LF Cell in that circumstance, this character realistically sits right about here, or even at the top of good, I would say. I do like this Trunks, but I don't love him, and I don't know why there's so many people saying he's this good and that good. I know he draws 2 ults, I know he gets his Vanish back, I know he goes type neutral. He does not fit the mold of a recent LF if we're comparing him to Dragon Fist Goku, you're comparing him to MUI Goku, or LF Cooler. He is not good enough to stack up with those guys. I would say he is a couple of the best, but he's right at the back, or he's right here, and that's just where I stand with him. Let's see how many characters. Oh, we're almost done here. So if you stuck with me to this point, you know, I appreciate you sticking around for this long, or if you skipped right ahead just to see where I rank these characters, I appreciate that too. You know, my rankings are not, you know, anything set in stone, but again, if you disagree with any of the placements, that's fine. I welcome that, because everybody's lists are going to be different, and you know, that's just a circumstance of making a list like this. Anyway, I guess this Frieza is from the Gogeta and Broly banner from 2 years ago. I still see him once in a while, so I'll rank him probably right around here. He's still okay, actually. He doesn't do that much damage, but the debuffs he inflicts are actually really good still. 4th anniversary Goku, pretty mediocre as far as like overall of the game, but as far as a free character, he's actually the best of those 3 that came out, and I would actually have him right around here, or maybe let's go right here. He's better than the Super Saiyan Gogeta, I would say, so we'll stick him right there. LF Broly, he did get a Plat Equip. It didn't make much of an impact on the meta, but I would say the fact he does have a Plat Equip puts him up a little higher than some of these guys. I would say he could be ahead of, I don't know, he got a Plat Equip just like Boo. I would stick him maybe, I guess right here. I would actually honestly vouch for the thought of these 4 LFs right here. It's really difficult to place them. I'll just leave them next to each other. I can't really place them off the top of my head in the right spot specifically, but they all are in the decent tier. That's all that really matters. Free-to-play Android 21. She's actually decent. I would actually have her right next to this Frieza. She's just not used because girls aren't used, androids aren't that used, so that's the situation with her. Mecha Frieza is definitely going to go in the good tier. I am not happy when I have to face this character. Just the fact he can lock in for a short amount of time, one time, is enough for me to put him like right around where LF Beerus is, I would say. That's how much of a threat he can be in the right hands and on the right setup, so that's the situation with Mecha. I do like that character. Revival Cell, he is basically not used, but again, you're going to see a Revival Cell every 40 to 50 matches because people want revive units, and that's just the situation. He's the first revival character. He could use a Zenkai. He could be the first revival Zenkai. That'd be pretty cool. And, you know, under that circumstance, he'd be really good. But right now, he does not hold up defensively or offensively. He just has the revival, and that's why he's down there. By the way, this Android 18 go up a little higher. She's not bad. Zenkai Ultimate Gohan. I think he's decent, but again, he got replaced. He got replaced by the LF Trunks, but even though he got replaced, if you don't have LF Trunks, it's probably your best green hybrid option. Put him right next to this Chilled and Goku as far as usability. He is a decent usability, and he's not a Super Saiyan, so he's got that going for him, so he's a decent character. Zenkai Kaioken Goku, one of the worst Zenkais upon release that we've seen. He buffs Saiyan Saga, I think, with his Zenkai ability. Nobody uses Saiyan Saga. What's another Saiyan Saga character and barely there? I mean, I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter. Let's just throw him right next to LF Super Saiyan 3. That's where I would put him. Again, this Trunks can go right here too. He's pretty mediocre. Demon King Piccolo Zenkai. I mean, I would definitely use LF Piccolo over him because of, I guess, he has more usability, better unique abilities, but this Piccolo is still good. Crazy enough to say that after over 2 years of him being Zenkai'd, I think, he's still pretty decent. I would definitely put him right around here. I think he's still pretty usable. It's just regen is really bad, but if you want to run him on a powerful opponent, he's okay. Metal Cooler, one of the best event exclusive characters. I could honestly see, if you don't have Revival Frieza, this is your go-to option, I would say. He's actually pretty solid. I think him right here is a good spot for him. I know there's a lot of characters, they're pretty bunched together, they're not going to look right as far as being next to each other. Like when I look right here, I see, I don't know, this Goku behind these two. Now I would move this Goku up right here, right? So it's gonna look weird, but again, it's a big ass list, so that's the situation. Red Gogeta, he's honestly not terrible, but he is barely there, and I would say if you're gonna run fusions, don't run this guy. Put Elf Cooler on the team as your red. Don't run this guy. I mean, he's honestly not terrible, but he just doesn't have the modern unique abilities that some characters have, so he doesn't stack up that well. I would definitely stick him like right here. Super Saiyan 4 Goku, if GT comes back, I can see this guy making a little bit of noise. As far as the main thing I like about him is the fact he can go lock him with his blue card. I think he nullifies special cover change on entry. I'm not sure though. I think that's option. So I'll stick him right near Gogeta, maybe ahead of him. Maybe like right there. He still does have some value if GT makes a comeback. Revival Gohan from the Saiyan Saga. Little Masenko dude. I would just say he's barely there. He's one of the worst revivals. Probably the worst revival on release, but he's better than the Red Cell that's a revival, so I could stick him like maybe right here. That's probably where he goes. Kamikalo Zenkai, pretty mid. Good bench though for regen if you want to run a blue regen character, but I would say Slug is a better Zenkai than this guy, so I'll stick him right here with GT Goku. Here's Slug. We're almost done here, but by the way, this Slug, I just ran him on a movie setup, and he was doing really good strike damage. I would honestly say this is a decent character on release, and I could see him being used if regen gets some help, so I would put him right here with the Super Saiyan Goku. They're probably on the same level. We have a few more here. I'm going to skip over that Broly. He could just go in trash. This Vegeta can go a little bit below the Super Saiyan 4 Goku, somewhere right there. This Bojack's still a decent character. If you don't have a red option for your powerful opponent in movies, he's still pretty decent. You know, even after a year of being out. I'd honestly say he can go like, I don't know, right here. He's still got value. Next, we have a few more here. Yeah, we'll go for Janemba here. I think he buffs powerful opponent, but he is barely used, but he is a good bench for that. Super Saiyan 3, same scenario as LF Super Saiyan 3. He is your Saiyan bench option. In my opinion, you can put him right there. This Frieza is a bench for your LOE team, but there's a better bench, which is full power Frieza. But if you really want to go heavy on the yellow, he's okay as a bench. I would probably stick him right with Kamikalo. Khalifa, she really never had a time to shine. I would stick her alongside Kamikalo as well. You know, at this point, I don't know how many other characters are that relevant. Let's go through. This Goten, he's barely there. You see him once in a while in a Sun Family setup. Zenkai Yellow Vegeta, you can use him to bench buff Kaioken Goku. He's solid. This Trunks, you know, he's replaced by two other characters on his team. The new Goku Black and LF Spirit Sword Trunks, so he can go right there. This Kamikalo, you know, he can go at the bottom, but barely there. He's actually the best Legends Road Zenkai at this point. This Android 18, she's pretty mediocre. Never was going to be as good as the yellow 17, so she can go pretty right there. And this Gohan's okay as a movies bench, but I would still stick him alongside the same value as like this Zamasu. I would say actually no, he buffs Super Saiyans with the Zenkai ability, which is not a great team right now, so actually I'm down here probably with, I don't know, Kaoken, right? Green Elf Broly, not Elf Broly, this Green Broly is actually still a really good bench for movies, and if you had no other green options, you could bring him. I would stick him like right there. He was heavily used last year, early in the year. Not a cooler, who cares? He is a good bench though for the LF cooler, but there are better options available. I would stick him right here. Tag Khalifa and Kale, I mean, they were terrible on release. I would stick him, I don't know. Let's just put him in trash can with these two. And then Zenkai Super 17, I want to include him because the new Super 17 that came out, they both have the same green card and cover change. He's still actually a really good Zenkai bench. I think, is it Androids, I'm pretty sure? Or is it GT? I'm not really sure. But I think one of those two. Still good as a bench option. Then the last character we're going to rank is this Kefla from the 3rd anniversary. She is a trash bag. Do not use her unless you have her 14 stars, Zenkai buffed, all the above. So that's my tier list. We'll just go over real quick. I want to finish out the top 5, and I would say, honestly, Super Vegito to me is still a top 5 character. Broly makes the 6th, then Dragon Fist is 7th, and then to make this better, I'll just put Maja Vegeta as the 10th best character. I think that looks pretty good to me, and obviously, you know, everybody's going to disagree with Broly not being a top 5. I don't see him as a top 5 unless he's very highly starred. You know, if I'm ranking all these characters as just playing top 20k PvP, most people do not have Broly at 14 stars, as they don't have MUI at 14, and they don't have Gogeta at 14 or Vegito. So just based off, you know, the most likely star level, you'll have 1 or 2 copies of Broly at this point because he's just, you know, he just came out. While Ultra Gogeta has returned on multiple banners, you'd see him more often because people have summoned for him multiple times at different points in the year. While Broly, if he comes back on a banner in a few months from now and people, you know, star him up higher, he's going to have extreme value at high stars as a defensive unit. We all know defensive units at low stars don't have as much value as offensive units. With Yellow Vegito, even in this meta, he is a defensive character that doesn't need to be defensive to be good. He feels like an offensive character that's defensive in the right situation. It was why I would have him over Broly. I think at lower stars, Vegito's a little better, and that's just where I stand. But as you can see, to me, the top 3 characters, you can run them all on the same team. You put MUI in the leader slot, you put LF Cooler and then Androids as your 2nd and 3rd. That's your team. If you have those 3 characters at decent stars, or, you know, even the lowest possible stars, you can dominate in top 20k PvP, top 10k PvP. Those characters, they make mono red elite. That's what they do. So with that being said, this is my list. A very long video, but as I could scroll through here, the only tiers that really matter are these. The rest are just fodder tiers for Zenkai benches and stuff. But this is where I would have my list at. You know, if you watched all the way through or you skipped to the end, that's fine. I appreciate you taking the time to look at my rankings. I am a consistent top 10k PvP player. I have been God rank once. You know, I don't care for God rank, I just want the titles. But other than that, you know, I have over 1,000 good games, so I played a lot of matches. And this is where I would stand as far as the meta is concerned. And I feel confident about it. I feel like there obviously are characters you can move around. You're going to move them around, you know, on your own. You can make your own list and then post that. But for me, this is just off the top of my head. I did no pre-thinking about who I would put where. But this is my rankings. I think it's pretty consistent with a lot of other top players, you know, or players that play in the top 20k or top 10k. You know, I'm not a professional by any standards, and I'm not, you know, like a top 100 player, but I do see all the characters listed above in PvP, and this is where I would rank them. So with that being said, thank you for joining me. This has been Opinionated Plays with the Dragon Ball Legends October tier list. This is basically the pre-Legends Festival tier list, and I hope everyone's enjoyed the video. So with that being said, thanks for watching.